Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Yesterday we discussed the strategy of the present government and the ruling party. Yesterday, if you remember, we were talking about the former Prime Minister's caravan that will take him back to his hometown, that is Lahore. That journey has begun early, not early, but in the morning today. And today we have been bringing the images to you. The journey continues, and we have to actually ask what exactly is it going to what kind of impact it is going to have in coming days. But we will try to expand upon and discuss the matters we discussed yesterday. If you remember, the former Prime Minister had said, and we discussed it yesterday, that there should be a grand national dialogue. What exactly is the nature of that dialogue? We should be discussing it once again, and whether those institutions that we miss out and who have been contributing to our political history, should they be included? These are important questions. We are going to discuss all of them. And then, of course, there's the matter of crowd. People keep on counting heads. Usually, I avoid doing that whenever PTI also has similar kind of rallies. I usually compliment them by saying that it was a big crowd. But today also I felt that it was a big crowd. But you know, in a post-truth society, everyone has his own fact. So there are media men who will refuse to believe that there was even a single man out. But there would be other people who would say that millions upon millions are marching on Islamabad streets. I believe in somewhere in between the two extremes. I think there was plenty of crowd, but I'm not going to give you a number. To discuss all these matters, especially the Grand National Dialogue bit, we have with us a very, in the know panel, a panel that really understands what is going on. I have with me Shoaib Shaheen Saab, a senior advocate and a regular on this show. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is our own special correspondent, Shabir Wagra. He went there and reported from there as well. Along with the caravan. It hasn't left Rawalpindi yet, mind you, and it has to go on GT Road. We will be asking Shabir Wagra what exactly he saw. Thank you very much, Shabir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Zaid Kishkori, one of our brilliant, investigative journalists, reporters. He's also here. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Shoaib Shaheen Saab, before I actually plunge into a debate about the numbers or anything else. The question at this moment is, are we moving towards some kind of polarization in the society?
I think this is the situation where we can say this because the conduct of the political parties in the previous past, you can see, and especially for the last 3 years, since 2014 and onward,
the not 2007? When there was a lawyers' movement, your movement?
That was a lawyers' movement. After that, but that was not the politically created issue. That was between Chief of Army Staff and against the judiciary whole. And the lawyers' movement was against the then establishment. So the political parties were behind the lawyers' movement. So that was a different kind of movement.
Yeah, but
so we cannot say there was no politics at all
both
at that time.
Both actors might not be politicians per se, but they had a very important political stance, and that translated into the kind of polarization that we have.
Yes, at
for
that
10
time
years we have continued seeing that.
At that time, that was a different kind, I can say. But now, this is between the political parties.
Okay.
The two important factors, which is the establishment and which is the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court of Pakistan, they were not part into it.
Okay.
They were above on all these issues, including all the factors who were involved in the previously. 2-3 things were very important. One was Model Town incident that created a problem, and the other was the dharna. You see the
sit-ins that took place
and against the
for 4 months.
For 4 months, that was also very important. And
important, but it was about an issue that was later on forgotten or ignored for quite some time.
That issue went to the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
It did.
And the Supreme Court, having a commission, 3 members bench, and they give different kinds of the
Judgment?
judgment
conclusion?
as well as the that is the
Recommendation also.
recommendations. That was the recommendations to improve
Recommendations
many
also.
things. So
But the
after
people
that,
who
after
actually were staging the sit-in never quite accepted the verdict. They kept on saying
no,
that,
they this accepted, but they said we have certain reservations, but we accept this.
like the current government.
No, no, the current government said we are implementing but not accepting the judgment.
Yeah.
That is the difference. Imran Khan
More
and
words,
its party said
more words.
we are accepting this judgment, having certain reservations.
So the
They
conclusion,
said
conclusion, sir, is that we are heading towards further polarization of
Yes,
the
yes.
society.
I think
Let me bring in Shabir Wagra. Shabir, today tell us what you saw. Do you think that there was substantial number of people with the former Prime Minister, or there are people who are saying that there wasn't any substantial crowd at all?
No, Pitaf Sab, I would certainly say that there was a substantial, rather there is a substantial crowd, and the number of people which has been on the road, they are much more than what we have been getting information from different sources
Okay.
and different places.
And that is quite, intriguing. Repeatedly on the private screens, I kept on seeing an official number. And I was wondering which authority is issuing it, because they were not very clear. They kept on saying 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, this thousand, that thousand. But there wasn't any mention of the source. What were the channels implying? What were the sources?
That's the exactly question today. Information Minister of State for Information, Mariam Aurangzeb, she put on a private channel that I've been giving you a number that 2,800 to 3,000 vehicles started from DCHOC, and this number is provided to, according to the Information Minister, this number is provided to her by the police sources in a written form. So she said that when I said this, that is a written evidence. But she questioned that channel that you are asking that 900 or 950 from the government sources. So please, can you clarify which government sources?
Yeah, or
And
you
they
have
said-
formed your own government, right?
and they said that we cannot reveal the government sources. So she said that then there is, because when you quote a government source, then the source is what you can tell it.
Yeah,
Because
you have to actually imply. Not imply, you have to actually mention the source, because repeatedly it was implied that somehow it is an official source, and then, Pakistan, somebody would start chattering or speculating that maybe it is the intelligence or this authority or that authority. That kind of speculation maybe we cannot afford in this country right now. But here's another question. You said substantial number of people. Just for the sake of argument, somebody, two people from outside are sitting here, will say that both of you are from PTV, the state television. So why should they trust this assessment? What are you going to say?
I myself, if I say that don't go on our number or what we are saying or what we have seen, even before the program I was talking in my newsroom, and we were talking about this, that even certain polarization in media, we are very much clear about it, that there is a certain polarization took place in media.
Certain polarization, wholesale takeover of the media by one political party.
If we go to the history of different rallies, there was certain elements of media who have been showing that different numbers, like government sources this much, private sources, independent sources, you will see a box whole time. And today, unfortunately, I haven't seen a single channel who has been saying that this number. Before coming to the program, I was looking at different channels so that I can get what they are saying about that number, so that at least one should get idea that what they are saying. Even then, I couldn't get a single channel who was quoting that this is independent source, this is official source, and that.
No, amazingly.
Farooq,
one of the
I
channels-
can share
I'm
with
coming to
you
and
more
I have a
specific
different question.
details.
Hang on, Zahid, I have a very different question for you, and I'm going to talk about that, but just one observation, Wagra, and that is about one channel where somebody is giving a beeper, a reporter, after mentioning the numbers given by the so-called authorities or the official sources, he then says that many of them were Patwaris. And I was wondering if he's talking about the official sources, that they are saying this. Amazing kind of journalism. And that's why, Zahid Gishkori, that is the question I was bringing into you. Today, I saw a kind of tweet coming from you. It was sort of like a refuse-nick. You were angry about the marathon transmission dedicated to one incident or one event and nothing else being covered. Tell me, it has been happening for the past 10 years. Why does it bother you now?
Listen, I have been also talking about this issue, Farooq. Thank you very much. Not today. It started from 2007 when our media was too young at that time, but now it has been 15 to 16 years now that we have more than 127 channels. Right now.
Most of them are entertainment channels.
Exactly.
By the way.
After 2000.
Only 30-40 channels are news
Yes,
channels.
and after
30, 40 channels
2014,
are much
Yeah, I
more,
know.
I think.
particularly the PTI then started when this marathon transmission started and TV channels started showing all these stuff. And it's up to TV channel now because it's all media war now, right now.
Media war or consumer war as well?
Both
Media,
you can say, but
you know, I've talked to-
unfortunately,
you work for a private channel, and I've spoken to too many private channel owners. And when I talk about this kind of obsession, they say that we are ratings-driven channels. And the problem is that when we start covering something, we do it if there's a demand, and we get high number of ratings when we cover it. It is pure capitalism. What would you say?
I 100% agree to you. Even that's why our 25 to 27 channels are media driven. And today, if you observe today, the cable connections are also disrupted in meantime, giving coverage, and many TV channels even were not showing all this. But this is not an issue. Listen, this is very important. We have many other issues to at least
Discuss?
discuss many issues like today, very important story that we
Four
lost
soldiers were martyred.
soldiers and
4 of our heroes were martyred today.
exactly they are because they are fighting the real war. They are saving our lives by sacrificing their own lives.
Right. So that is the interesting thing, because remember when Peshawar incident took place, at that time there was a sit-in going on as well. That was actually concluded during those days. Repeatedly I kept on saying, even during the sit-in, that we should be focusing on the other side as well. But the trouble, Zahid Gishkori, is that when we try to focus on national interest issues or national security issues, you don't have that kind of visuals, you don't have that kind of analysts, you don't have that kind of perhaps appetite for that kind of discussions. And that's why people come back to the default setting, that is populism.
Unfortunately, our private TV channel force viewers, the people just develop their taste, just showing visuals, and many people and like abusive languages, all many stuff which is not good for our youth. I'm telling you,
That is
particularly
true.
for our kids.
But that youth also sits in his living room where his elders will be using the similar kind of language, and they will actually enjoy it.
And this started, you know, that many politicians, unfortunately. Listen, just let me to answer and add one more thing to my colleague Shabir. I was over there, around 25 to 35,000 number, and this crowd is growing with every passing moment. And I know that Intelligence Bureau gave us different figures, Special Branch gave us different numbers,
Now you're
and then
quoting
the
sources.
police as well. But we, as a reporter, also have our own assessment, as we have experience to cover such big rallies. And I tell you one thing, that youth also appear today. And one more important thing which could be and which might be, I can say that tomorrow is very decisive day. It's a test case for PMLN. Either will they be able to pull a bigger crowd, because listen, this GT road, 280 kilometer long road covering
Gishkori, Zahid?
5 districts. Just I want to-
Zahid, leave something for the next question as well. Let me go back to the first participant. We have to talk about the other issue. I started by actually asking a question about polarization because there is need for a dialogue. Everybody accepts it. But listening to the former Prime Minister yesterday when we were sitting next to him, I felt that he was talking about a political dialogue. My problem is that politicians have gone through this exercise in the past as well. For example, COD. At that time, the third party was hardly that big an element. But all of a sudden, PTI rose to power, and now it is quite strong a party. The issue is maybe political parties are not only not the only part of the problem. There are other institutions. For example, in 35 years, we had 4 dictators, 4 journals, who were supported by judiciary, one way or the other. Now the question is, should we remain in denial, or should we try to bring them into a dialogue as well, so that we have an institutional dialogue, and we create a kind of environment where we know democracy is going to continue? Shiv sir.
I think this is the most important question. And this is the most important need of our country, the dialogue. The important question is the dialogue between the political parties. And if they have some consensus on some issues, thereafter there should be involvement of some other institutions.
On what forum?
On many things. You see the action plan, national action plan, that was headed by the political party, but along with those political parties, there was the establishment.
Yeah,
they were sitting side by side.
But you
They
realize
were also involved in all these issues.
Sir, but
So-
you realize that the initiative initially, during the time
taken
of
by
General Rahil's time, came from the other side. And then
Yes.
there was an attempt to actually bring it together by the politicians.
But it has given some fruits.
Uh-huh.
When
Has
all
it?
the political parties were united on this issue, establishment was united on this issue, and all the political parties agreed to this agenda that we will work for together on this very issue. So,
Okay, by
what was its effect?
establishment you mean the military
The
and
military
the
establishment,
intelligence.
the military intelligence,
Okay.
the military establishment.
Right.
Especially.
The problem is, even there, you didn't have any representation of the judiciary, because judiciary is not part of executive like the
Judiciary
army.
cannot be. I think judiciary cannot be, because the judiciary has to overview the judicial or executive orders being implemented or being passed.
That is true.
So they cannot be the part of the executive authorities or the policy making authorities.
So, but
They cannot be.
But sir, we have to talk about PCOs of the past as well. We have to talk about doctrine of necessity of the past as well. Somebody has to be present. Is this possible?
No,
I
I think-
understand that honorable judges cannot
They
come.
cannot sit.
They
And they
cannot
cannot
sit.
be the part of the policy making authorities,
they-
because they have the powers of judicial review.
I know, but is it possible that at least the Honorable Chief Justice or then the Supreme Judicial Council nominates 4 or 5 retired judges that can go on the behalf of the institution of judiciary and participate in a
You
dialogue?
see, that was started in the Zafrullah Jamali was the Chief Justice, and even Mr. Khaja, Jawad Khaja was the Chief Justice. Raza Rabbani had invited them, and they also came and has a discussion with the senators in the Parliament House. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
actually
there was a start.
had a speech there.
Had a speech there. That was a start of this kind of the negotiation, or this was a kind of having a at least discussion with each other, institutional level of discussions.
Right.
So I don't think that can be a proper and formal
Mechanism?
mechanism that the
No, I know.
judiciary should also be a part of the policy making authorities, because
No, nobody is
the-
asking for that.
the
I was only
authority-
talking about grand national dialogue
I
and
think-
the fact that it mentions 2 words, grand and national.
I
I
think-
think you cannot exclude any group from the discussion. If
I
you
think,
do,
I think if the 2 parties, you can say, one the political parties and the other is the military establishment, if they are united on one and the same agenda, I think there will be no other problem being faced by any of the parties.
Yeah, but,
and
sir,
the other
with due
thing
respect,
is, and the other thing is very
so
important.
this is an interesting observation, but with due respect, without that kind of evidence, it will be an assumption. And we cannot take chances with assumptions. Let me ask one
And the
question.
third, and the
Sir,
third thing,
allow
one
me
thing
to.
very, very important, and the other thing is, if they are united on all the issues, and the important thing is the good governance. If the government is giving the good governance,
agree.
is running the affairs, good governance,
I
I
agree,
don't
sir.
think that the judiciary will take any kind of hindrance
Yes,
for
sir.
them.
But whenever we talk about these things, somebody stands up and talks about past cases of corruption in the lower judiciary, or then somebody talks about the defense industry as well. That these are the important questions. But Shabir Wagra, when the former Prime Minister was talking about grand national dialogue, what do you think he meant? Can you elaborate as a reporter?
Yes, as much as I understand whatever I have gone through after this debate started after statement from the former Prime Minister, PML leader Nawaz Sharif, that grand national debate should be, that can be because they have done COD, and that COD was very strong.
You're right, but they have literally done COD now.
But
People say COD is done.
Exactly.
Now nobody actually looks at it.
but now after such a big thing, he has lost his like a premiership, and after that. That is what he said is the need of the time, that the political parties, and I personally feel that if you want to have a grand national dialogue, then it should be a stage-wise, because
It should be staggered. Okay.
in a way, because Shoaib sir said that first point is very good, that there should be a grand national dialogue between the political parties. Once they came on one consensus points, then they should include the other powerful institutions.
But many people think, with due respect, that there are political parties behind whom there might be some institution.
That's why once they will
this is an impression thoroughly given by the people in that party also.
so that's why
Do you
I'm
think
asking.
they will come to dialogue?
That's why I'm asking that once they will agree, then there would be a lot easier. Because there's a lot of points which will come from the other side.
Will PTI participate in it?
They should.
No, we are not
will
talking
not.
about should or could.
Yeah.
I'm asking about whether they are going to or not.
I don't think so.
They're
Then
not.
what is the point?
The polarization is so immense.
Because
At
this
stage,
is
I
point.
don't think both the parties.
the
You see the statements of
PTI
Danial,
will not.
you see
I'm
the
coming back
statements
to
of
you.
Talal under these
PTI will
circumstances.
not, but exactly, unfortunately, Nawaz Sharif is exactly reaping what exactly he sowed.
Like
the
what?
chart of democracy, just three prime ministers, Mr. Nawaz Sharif played very vital role when they were de-seated. First Junaid, and then twice Benazir Bhutto, and then the previous one. Because
hang on, let me
he is
be
the
clear
most
here.
seasoned politician.
No, I get that
having
point.
history
But
of-
you mentioned three. Out of those three, you have to take out two, because after that, he not only was sent into exile, he also signed COD that was admission of fault in the past, and that's why he signed COD. The third one, that is Yusuf Raza Gilani, right?
Gilani.
Yesterday, former Prime Minister said that
Regretted, not said.
No, he said. He said that I think that Yusuf Raza Gilani should not have been disqualified by the Honorable Court.
At least.
But
yes.
previously,
Because
what was
this
his
is the-
statement
I'm
and what
coming.
he stressed for that?
This is
I'm coming to
exactly the lesson what he learned today.
Okay.
He is the most seasoned politician. Unfortunately, Benazir Bhutto assassinated, and I deeply fear, and I as a reporter have very strong information through intelligence agencies that this really have severe fear of violence.
Okay.
God forbid if it happens so,
Yeah, but
then there will be dire consequences not only on this country but also the politics of
Okay,
this country.
I understand what you're saying, but don't change the topic. You
My
have to talk
topic
about.
really there is a need, pressing need to come up with new charter of democracy, at least save and some review. Maybe they are saying
But
that
Zahid-
the new prime minister said that.
That without PTI, will it not be akin to preaching to the choir? People's Party is
I
almost
agree to
like-minded.
you. Yes, without PTI,
Nationalist
PTI is a
Party.
major stakeholder now.
So
Even
if
the
it doesn't
most
come-
powerful party, which could bring more crowd, bring more people in the field.
I have another question for you. We were talking about involvement or inclusion of some semblance of representation from the military quarters and the judicial quarters. Another very important factor at this moment, very important power base, is your media groups. Should there be any representation of that as well?
I think
Especially the owners, not the
not
journalists.
only media but also lawyers community as well, because these two institutions are also playing very vital role to make this democracy
Yeah,
which is struggling.
But usually the lawyers are integral part of political parties.
Yes.
So every party,
Media
whenever
is
they
very
send
important
somebody,
for Farooq. Listen, as a media person, as a senior, being a mentor, you also can agree to me. I'm sure you will do that, because media playing very vital role in coming elections, and even it played very vital role in
Therefore,
2013.
they have distributed the parties.
I want to
Are the
add one-
parties have
They have.
And
distributed the
He's
media.
right. Yeah.
Answer your first question, media.
If you go
like
to the
other
ARI and
institutions,
the Geo,
yeah.
political parties,
just
and
want to
if
take
you
you
are
polarized.
going to the bowl and sometimes going to
Polarized.
I just
But
want-
coming to the point, I want to
You
add
know,
one more thing.
when you compare with Bol, then you have to compare PTV. PTV or Bol, the other, the two opposite sides.
No,
Yeah.
listen,
Very
you
quickly.
cut me
I'll
out.
go- I'll go.
But this political rally was very important for survival of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, and as well as for the Sharif family. I think they took very right decision, and they have very strong support on this power show on GT Road. 5 districts attached to this road, and 35 National Assembly seats connected to them, but
Yeah.
32 in PMLN hand. If PMLN is a test case for
It is a
we can
test case,
say
but the problem
they
is
should
when you switch on your television, and I'm not even talking about the opposition, the channels that were mentioned, one of them is very critical, 2 of them are very critical. One channel is thought to be a bit kinder towards the government. And when I look at that, there is a commentator who says, no, there wasn't anybody out there. And there's another buddy who's saying,
That's very unfortunate. Our media,
Millions of persons are
is
there.
totally polarized, and it has become biased.
so
Biased
where,
media.
where
I'm
are
so
our
sorry for
ethics?
it.
I'm
Because
talking
people
about
are not
senior editor.
relying on us 100%. We are only to convey what exactly
I'm
on the
coming to you,
ground
Babu.
is. And one channel is saying that oh, the huge crowd, more than 100,000 people. One is saying no, only 8,000 people. They all are
No, they-
quoting sources. But on the ground, things are different.
They are
And
somewhere
that's
between the two
why
extremes.
Our media, wild media, should at
I
least
just-
come
Right.
up with some. I think they should sit on the fence.
Right.
I will second your point that the representation of media should be at the owners, their ownership level, because you initially put a question to Zahid that rating, because that is also a very vague term. Because I tell you, that can be a bit of irrelevant, but very interesting fact that Gallup International, they have done a survey in 2000 when MDGs was designed in 55 countries with more than 50,000 respondents. And they have found that people care more than anything for their family and health.
Right.
But
There's hardly
media
any talk show.
representation for this, it means if people care and people are the main source of rating, then how they can leave that topic which they care about. And another short example I will give about our media. There was a very important debate was going on about 18th constitutional amendment. That day when that amendment was about to pass from the parliament, that day one media organization aired Shoaib Malik's wedding with the Sania Mirza clip, and that clip hijacked whole debate of 18th Amendment.
Oh, when they fight, even on fights, their domestic fights, you have breaking 24-hour news cycle that follows everything else. I totally get it. And the humble submission is, you were talking about MDGs, right? I was heading a news team in one of the private channels, and there somebody contacted me that nominate some journalists so that we can train them. I said, what is the reason? Why do you want to do it? They said that you have to nominate somebody so that we can, sensitize them. They're not covering the matters. They should be covering it. I told them then that means that you should be asking the marketing, the sales people in, or you should be inviting the owners, because journalists knows what should be done. Sadly, it cannot be covered because media owners have their own priorities.
Exactly, exactly.
So that should be included in the dialogue, Shweta?
That can be possible, but I think as now the circumstances are, the political parties have hired or the media groups have hired the political parties. I think there are two kinds.
I think it is the case
Or
is
one way
latter.
or the by two ways. So
is
it should
other
not
way
be. There is no trust now on the media. If someone worker of the PTI, he abuses the Geo, and if there is a worker of the Muslim League, they abuses the ARY or any other channel. So
Yeah.
that should not be. The media group
So you have to
should
mention
have
every channel's
a
name
power.
in this
No,
program.
I'm not saying this, but my opinion is the media groups should have over and above all these things.
Yeah, but you're
they
t-
should work
Sir,
for
with due
their
respect, you're talking about
professional
ethics.
ethics. They should have.
No, but you're
some-
talking about ethics.
They are not the
problem
part
is,
of the. They are not the part of the political parties.
Okay.
They are not the political parties' agenda to promote or not to promote. So there should be some. They should be included in this dialogue. But after that, first the dialogue between the political parties. If the political parties are united, you see the Tayyib Erdogan case. The political parties were united. There should be no martial law. There will be no army. So what happened? All the political parties were on one side, and they were even
Sorry
you
to cut,
respect the
media
bad
also
example.
played very vital role.
except the
So
Media
what
also
happened?
played very vital role just to avoid this coup
yeah.
in Turkey.
all the political parties on one agenda. Therefore, they defended those situation, and thereafter the people were even lying on the against the tanks. So what happened? Now the democracy is so strong, and I think
Democracy is not that strong, is it?
you can say there are many
There,
problems,
there are
but
objectors,
at
there are
least
people who keep on complaining, but that is besides the
com-
point. My concern
no
is
one
that
can be an
when we
ideal.
are giving example, Turkey's example has repeatedly been quoted. The problem is the opposition parties there after 10 years or more of Erdogan rule are maybe not that strong, and that is the part of the problem. He is very
Might be,
popular. He is
but
very popular.
But one thing is very important. The
Let us build our
the
own example
the
rather than
people
comparing
are-
ourselves
The
to anybody
people
else.
have a trust on the political parties and they came out. But in Pakistan, my opinion is there is no trust on the political parties. That is the reason no popular, no public at large is coming towards any of the political parties you see.
Even PTI.
I can't say.
Be very
I
clear.
can't say. Even in PTI, if they are saying that there are millions of the persons, but sometimes you see there are thousands of the persons are available.
Yeah.
If I don't think so that any of the political party has the authority or has the dominance that they can pick the public at large, because they have no trust on the political parties.
Okay,
Most
that-
of the public.
That, with
Most
due
of the
respect, is an interesting argument, but when I go outside on the street, I see a lot of support for them. And the trouble at this moment, we are going to talk about the future strategy as well, Zahid. But the problem at this moment is that on television, I see a lot of punditry. I see a lot of people denying or depriving the voice of the people, and they continue to say that there is no meat on the other side. That doesn't happen. We remember Donald Trump was being shown, only his picture was shown. Nobody was showing his audience. And eventually we went back after his victory and saw his audience, and then we realized that he was talking to massive crowds.
Yes.
This is what is happening in this country. The trouble at this moment maybe is that we might not become one-party system. And on one side, television keeps on telling us PTI has become the largest party. My concern is that the party that is delivering usually gets most of the votes, and if that happens, you cannot inhale your own propaganda. People cannot inhale their own propaganda. Mian Nawaz Sharif, once he reaches Lahore, what is going to be his course of action in coming days?
My information is that Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz will continue to pull such crowds, and they will just keep this momentum on, keeping and eyeing on the next general elections. And this is only survival because Sharif family, unfortunately, facing, fortunately or unfortunately, I will not comment on it, but facing very tough trial in accountability courts. And putting this aside, the issue is because Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz delivered reasonably good in last 4 years, and they will love to certainly cash it all in next gen election in shape of maximum.
So they will be contacting the Awam, and
yes,
then they will
the
continue
people,
to deliver,
Awam, the low, yes,
deliver on the projects and everything.
on the project, and they will show everything to them. And that's why Nawaz Sharif is among the people right now. And as the opposition political parties, by the way, got victory because they got Prime Minister disqualified, no reason. I mean, I will not comment on it because it was weaker ground, maybe whatever, but they got victory. They should at least tell the people now. They should go to the people and tell them, yes, this has happened to him, and they should convert all these things to cash more votes. I don't see,
that is true,
unfortunately.
but here's the problem. I tell you, and then it is open for all your interpretation as well. You know, when you see it as an isolated case, you know, they have a victory. They went to the courts and they kept on hammering on, and finally they got their kind of verdict. The trouble is, when you look at 70 years of history, you see not a single prime minister in Pakistan could finish his term in office.
His term in
And
office.
then people would think that there is something funny going on here, that no prime minister can complete his term. Every person is dismissed on a different charge, but they are. And this is where the victory turns into conspiracy. And people start talking about a conspiracy going on in the society.
This
What do
is
you
very weird. This is weird to me as well. This is very unfortunate, and I blame the politician of this country.
Yeah.
Because they
You should, because they're the
don't
easiest
support
target.
each other. They did not bring up with a single platform to save democracy, to make this institution very strong. I mean, the civilian government, and they just try to pull each other legs.
Right.
And like the similar case I see with Imran Khan, because I covered this case. I'm sorry if the Supreme Court disqualified Prime Minister on the basis that he concealed something which still need to be investigated according to GIT report and the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Then the similar one component of this case is lying with Imran Khan as well.
Yeah.
I don't know
We will
that
talk about that
what
in
the
another time.
decision will
Let me go
be.
to Wagra. We have the shrinking window of time.
Actually, I want to add
Strategy
that,
and this point as well.
and especially if we talk about then why this particular rally was important for Nawaz Sharif. One of the very important thing, everybody is talking that he has to show the power to the opponents. I would rather say that he has to show the power to his own party as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there was a lot of talk about the disintegration of party, or there are few people who will go somewhere.
Sheikh Rashid said that there is going to be a forward block.
Exactly.
Then
and
he
to
ended up with 32
and,
or 33
and,
number
and we
votes.
know, Pratap Sahab, we know that there are certain people who always made forward blocks, and there are few people in every political party, not only in PMLN.
No, but in PMLN there was humongous problem. Even after Mian Sahab left the country, he was in exile. It took many months for the establishment of Pervez Musharraf's government to actually bring together PMLQ.
And even to those people inside their own party, it would be a great message that whatever the crowd, if it's a big show, that means this will be a very beneficial to intact the party.
Yeah.
And then this will, as that said, they will keep on continuing. Now, Mian Nawaz Sharif is free from what he was having. Now he will be more focused on PMLN. Right. He will be more focused on political party, more focused on 2018 elections.
So does he plan to come back as Prime Minister?
He cannot come.
He cannot come.
Not technically.
But that is technically, but you never know.
No, I'm talking about his desire, not about the capacity.
I don't
of
think
the
so. He has a desire to come back as a Prime Minister himself, but rather about family, Mariam, or even
You realize that that will delay
Just
the
one
program
point, only
itself.
one point, to addition to his answer. It's only survival for Nawaz Sharif as well. He is trying to continue to keep united this party. This is very vital component PMLN focusing on right now.
I don't know why people talk about lack of unity in the party. I think that there is no
There
other
is
choice
a-
for PMLN's voter but to stay here, or their
There are
leaders as well.
strong differences, but it's a test case for Nawaz Sharif right now to keep the party united.
I mean, I've seen those strong differences as well. They are not that strong. People
But
keep
it's
on
politics. Everything is
overemphasizing it.
possible.
My only happiness, my only glee through if the PMLN manages to show street power in coming days will be that it will expose the politically incorrect punditry in this country.
Exactly.
The people who sit on television cannot garner a single vote and keep on dismissing elected politicians as nobodies. That should end. The people who are commenting on television should know what is going on the street. Sir, regarding future strategy of PMLN and Mian Nawaz Sharif Sahab, last time you gave an advice to him that he should step aside. He did not, but I think it went in his favor. But at this moment, what is your advice?
I think he should focus legally on his cases. This is the most important factor which is going on as a hurdle in his way.
But
because
you said that he cannot come back, right?
he cannot come back
Remember
at this stage
1999?
until and unless.
Remember 1999? When people said that he is done, he's gone. Within 1 year, he was sent abroad. People said that his career, his politics is over. Even in his absence in 2002, his party managed to get some seats.
That was a different situation because one thing was very important. A dictator came in and he ousted him from his legitimate government. Here the situation is different.
Okay.
Here he has been ousted on the charges and now there are the corruption charges against him. And those corruption charges are being investigated from the NAB.
Funny thing,
and
talking
the
to-
NAB
funny
court
thing,
will
talking to-
finalize his case against the
No, I
family
get your
members.
point. But
So
funny
there
thing,
is a difference.
talking to him yesterday was that he mentioned his 3 dismissals, and the 3 times dismissals method was different. Once he was sent by the president home, and then he came back because of judiciary, and then there was some kind of agreement between the forces that he should go. Second time, he is thrown out of
Ousted
power, and this time through judiciary. So he keeps on talking about the conspiracy of circumstances.
No,
put
at this
it
time
way.
situation is totally different. This is the judiciary which was most favorite for this
Right,
Nawaz Sharif, for whom he has done, he has worked and he has moved, which is very evident in
Right, sir.
2009 if you are remembering.
But that is
this
true, sir, but I'm
judiciary,
told that
after due
I have to-
process of law
One of
and
our
investigation
guests is
has
about to
ousted
leave.
him.
I have to actually thank him, Zaid Gishkori. Thank you very much for being part of the program. You were leaving, you can. Sir, please finish your point and then we can
I can only
conclude.
say that this time the situation is totally different. He did not focus on previously on the GIT investigation as well as before the Supreme Court. Now he should focus, this is my advice, free of cost. He should focus
No,
on
you
the
can charge for
investigation
it
of the
as well.
cases
I don't mind.
and as well as on the cases which
Right.
are being now to be conducted by the NAB courts.
Right.
That is the most important
But
factor
people-
instead of going into the
people-
politics, because
Shraddha-
he will neither be a prime minister nor a president of the party. So
Okay.
the persons who will be the heads of the party, they should be given free hand to work, and there should be only a symbolic involvement.
Yeah, but with due respect, he has 2 things that you have to count. One, he will remain a citizen of the country. Nobody can take away that right from him. The second thing is, if you're unsure whether he's popular as a national leader or not, you can switch on your television, the most critical ones,
One thing is
and
he
you will
can
see
be a
that there is support base here.
He can be a popular leader. I am not denying him.
So
But
he
the
will
thing
keep
is,
on-
if someone is involved in some criminal activity, if he is convicted in
we-
future, one thing, if he is convicted.
If you
for
and I
example,
are convicted, right? We can talk about
cannot say,
anybody, but we
but
cannot
if
actually
we can-
assume
we
the
are-
role of judiciary with due respect.
role of judiciary is above board.
Yeah,
Nobody is
and
objecting
you
to
and
it.
And you and I cannot assume that role, right?
Yes,
we
we
cannot say
cannot.
this man
We
is
cannot
criminal, that one is not.
So
Sir,
my
on
opinion
that
was,
note, Shoaib
instead
Shaheen
of
Sahab,
focusing on the
Did you hear my-
focusing on the politics,
Did you hear my producer shouting in my ear that I have to conclude the program? Shoaib Shaheen Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Shabir Wagra, thank you very much for your time as well. We have already thanked Zaid Gishkori, who has left here to go for his own program. Because this was today's discussion. The matter of national dialogue has to be discussed more. Sadly, whenever it comes to the right issues, our media and our pundits on television keep on missing the point. How much they can do that, I don't know. But one day they will have to come back to focusing on the real issues. And this is the point that we have concluded in this program today. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.